Hola, hola. What other
Buenos dias.
what other hellos have we got in different languages? Hola, what's Italian?
Ciao.
That can be goodbye and hello. Ciao, ciao. What French?
Buongiorno.
Au revoir.
No, that's goodbye.
Yeah, no, but I'm just.
Oh.
Ça va?
Bonjour.
Ça va sounds better.
Ça va.
Mm.
Ça
I
va
say it better than you.
bien. Yeah, because I can only say it in the voice that you learn at school, where you're like, ça va.
Ça va.
Ça va bien.
Mine's more sexy than yours.
Et tu?
What did you say? You too?
Et tu?
That's Spanish. ¿Cómo se dice?
Yeah, basically
And
the
then, estoy muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Et tu?
What else have we got? We got German. What's that?
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag. See, I say it better as well.
Oh,
Does that mean pronouncing's better than...
perhaps.
Oh, hello guys. Welcome to the welcome to the podcast with my girlfriend,
Here I am.
which is the greatest show on the planet.
Wow.
We are starting to really cook now. This is the first time we've actually come to record this without dogs in the room.
That's right. Level up now.
I spoke a little bit in the...
You heard him drinking water last time. Weren't we hearing it this time?
I spoke a little... Well, we both spoke in the last podcast about how there's a bit of intensity between us in terms of us as a couple and how there could be problems on the surface from how we were recording the podcast. And it's basically down to whatever I do in my life, I'm highly critical on it. So I listened to the last podcast back and the microphone wasn't very close to my face. And
Shoddy.
it was shoddy. So that's why I've got the microphone stand out now, because I'm highly critical of myself. And every time I've been doing the podcast, we've had dogs in the room, and it's just not a good way to start. It's just distracting.
Not the vibe.
So I want everything we approach in life, not even us. I just mean everything I work on, from films to music videos, which is a good plug for myself. I always want it to just be the best it can be.
Check out Aaron's other works.
No, I'm talking about how I work. Like I will obsess over the minor details just to make sure we can get the absolute best out of the product. And I feel like we are starting to cook because we're getting tighter. I don't know if you noticed, but we've also recreated that feeling. Because
we didn't really have it before, I don't think.
You got to have a want to do it. That's why when you record music, there's this intensity to it. And it's saying whatever you do, even if you're out of media, say if you're working in the kitchen, you need that intensity to make the best food. You're a vet, you need that intensity to do your best work. You always need the intensity. So it's actually a feeling like there's a kind of excitement to approach the podcast. You seem a lot more into it.
Maybe it's because I'm not being filmed once again.
But it's also because the dogs are locked away.
Yeah, I'm locked away. They ain't cupboard. Not really.
I feel like you're going to say something.
No.
You gave me that look where you had something to say.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I do feel more into it at the moment. Maybe it's because I don't know, I just feel like maybe not as scared of it as what I was before. I
think we've worked it out as well. Anyway, you want to talk about The Exorcist?
That's right.
Because you just mentioned it to me in passing.
I was wondering what we were going to talk about today, and then
so
it presented itself.
It's the 50th anniversary of The Exorcist. I thought it was the 40th, but it's the 50th.
Which is it's a long time ago.
Since I'm the film guy, let me set this up.
Okay, fine.
So you've got to shut the... if you were talking about vet stuff, since I'm a guy, I'd still talk over you.
You would indeed.
But women have poor taste in film. Usually if they are a film girl...
The feminists will clip you now.
Good. Usually they can take it, and I will still stand by my... Well, most guys, to be honest, have poor taste in film as well. You know, Fast and Furious or whatever. But Fast and Furious has kind of become a family product now. But in my days, it wasn't. So I want to talk about The Exorcist. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to set it up, and I'm going to completely back off.
Okay.
And then you can talk about it.
All right then.
So The Exorcist is in it should be in anybody's top 10 films of all time. It's not in mine, but that's because there's some big contenders up there. But The Exorcist could replace any of them.
Yeah. But it's just personal preference
It's
why it hasn't.
personal preference why it's not up there for me. But it is, if you know what I mean. It's like, yeah, it would get my top 3. But it's just not. But what The Exorcist is, it is the most powerfulest film ever made. Yeah. There is no film I've ever watched as powerful as The Exorcist. Because, to quote Mark Commode, every time you watch it, the film is something else. It is truly terrifying. I'm going to use the F word straight away. Fuck anybody who approaches the film with the idea the special effects have aged badly. It's not actually that scary, because the people who don't think it's scary and the people who think the special effects have aged badly are missing the entire point. Yes, there is some argument of almost a comedic value in things which Scary Movie has tackled. But for me, you have to put your imagination back to the 70s and special effects still hold up. And it is the most interestingly well shot and choreographed horror movie what has ever been made. Because what it does, it plays with symbolism, it plays with our consciousness, it doesn't give you answers, it uses little tricks like the way it's lit, it shows you the door so it builds your fear, it shoots the exorcism in ways where you can't really see what's happening, so yet again it builds on that intensity. There is nothing more terrifying in cinema apart from that film. What was it called in the church?
That one. Borderlands, no?
Borderlands, that's it. That film is one of the only films alongside The Exorcist what genuinely terrified me. So I watched The Exorcist by mistake when I was 11 or 12. I can't remember which
Poor
age.
little thing.
I believe 11. It was on TV and I was curious about it because I'd heard rumours of it. And it terrified me to the point I got physically ill. And it terrified me to the point where my body was vibrating and shaking, and I had to question life and death. And I refused to watch the film till I was about 19, 20. And I watched it again, and the film was so powerful I vowed to never watch it again. And on watching the 50th anniversary, I kind of forgot how powerful it really was. And it still raises my hairs. Even
Is it one of those where it's like every 10 years you forget about it and then you come back?
It's one of those where I forget how powerful it is, because I think I've learned, because obviously since I was watching when I was 20, I've read a lot more. I've watched a lot more horrific things. I think in context...
Do you think you can handle it?
Yeah, I think I can come back and it's not going to affect me. I imagine if you was to watch it day by day, you may get cold of it.
I think you'd be fucked up in the head if you watched it every day.
So going off of that, as a first time viewer, what are you saying?
Well, yeah, I was gonna kind of say like, you'd think if it's 50 years old and you know the special effects are like not as advanced as what we've got now and stuff like that, and everyone's seen clips of it and everything, so you think like, oh, you've seen like the worst moments from it, so you wouldn't really think it would be that scary or anything. But I guess it surprises you because it's not really any of that stuff that makes it
what was
scary,
you,
is it?
or what you would when you was going into the film, you've obviously heard me talk about it, and you got to admit when I talk about things, I usually am right about them. Like I've never really. I think in another life I would probably be a tastemaker, because there's nothing what I feel.
What's one of those stuff?
Well, like a critic. There's nothing I really recommend what I feel. Like I don't hype things up for the sake of it. So, but what did you think when you were going in? Did you think this is just going to be like scary, but not too scary?
I don't know. Well, yeah, because I'd heard you talk about it, so I knew it was going to be a bit scary. But I guess I was kind of expecting like like normal horror movie scary, like
jump scares
and stuff. But
this
that stuff doesn't really stay with you, does it?
The Exorcist like eats away at your soul. Does it not?
It was more. It wasn't. I wouldn't even say it was scary. It was more just like disturbing.
I've seen it described as the film itself is pure evil.
It
is a personification of evil.
Yeah, it's something not quite right about it.
You know that when they built the original set, it randomly burnt down.
Interesting. Yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, like there was no jump scares or anything really like that. And
There's one jump scare where she goes into the attic and a lamp flames.
oh yeah, true. Um, but I think it's like
And you can actually put. I promise. I was so important to come in with my. But you can also put a jump scare in the cut as well. You know, like how you can. You know, if you do like a long shot, you can put the action in the shot.
right.
You don't have to zoom in on it. You can actually put a jump scare in a frame without actually having a noise. So it could be, for example, you know how when she's spewing up vomit,
Yeah.
she's in the frame, the head's turned from side to side. In a modern film, they'll cut to the mouth and you see the vomit come out. In this, you see it from a distance. So it's still a jump scare, but it's just a jump scare in the frame, you see.
Yeah, I guess but it's not really in a way what's happening with her that makes it that creepy. Well, because it's like she's going to the doctor and stuff, so it's more. I think if they went straight to the exorcism, do you know what I mean? It would be like, yeah, obviously, but then because she's going through all the doctors and stuff, it's like more realistic almost.
I really like how they get straight into it as well. The opening. When I first watched the opening scene, I found it really boring when I was like a kid, and then when I got older, I soon realised it's actually the most important scene of the film because it sets up the whole idea that he's going back to battle the devil.
This demon, yeah.
And I think the open shot where they're in Iraq and there's those citizens of the militia or whatever, they're looking at him strangely. And the fact his heart's giving out and the fact that clock stops and the fact he's picking up this medallion and how the sun's shot and the dog's barking, that instantly plays with in a modern horror film, it plays with your fears in a writing way.
Yeah.
Oh look, you're scared of a woman in the corner. You're scared of this tap's going to make a sound. It's going to like vibrate. I'm thinking woman black now. The tap's going to vibrate and then there's going to be like a bird that's going to make you jump scare.
Yeah.
In this, it just attacks your soul. It attacks your consciousness. And that is very rare in horror films. But at its core, it shows why horror films, when they are done correctly, are the best forms of cinema because it's not even cinema. You know, like how a good song, Crossfire Hurricane, we can talk about Mean Streets in a minute. You know how like a good song pushes your psyche over the edge. The same with this film.
Yeah. It was like when I was watching it, I was almost like not even really that scared. I was more entertained, but then afterwards I was extremely depressed.
It really did affect you.
Yeah.
I think it affects everybody who watch it for the first time. That's why I don't really believe there's people what have got through the. I think when people are generally scared, they lie about not liking it. It's why when you go on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever website,
is it because they don't want to admit they've been scared by something with 50-year-old graphics?
Yeah, but it's also the fact of when you see people on Rotten Tomatoes, you see horror films are completely kicked. So there'd be horror films now what are rated 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, but they're not. They're at least a 70% because horror films have just got a bad reputation as just being dumb slashers or not. You know, like the same way it's very rare you'd ever see a war film win an Oscar because a film that has to win an Oscar has to be like a drama. It has to be about a Holocaust. It has to be something what is about the human condition, and so a lot of horror films get kicked because they are just obviously some horror films are never going to win an Oscar. Like you're not going to get an Oscar from Friday the 13th, but Friday the 13th is fun and interesting.
Yeah, there's like
because it's playing with our fears.
Yeah, like something like Saw is more graphic.
I disagree.
Like horrifying.
I think,
but it's not really that scary. It's just it's just gross.
I'm going to disagree on the fact. Of course, it is all those things, but I think at the heart of Saw there is something really interesting in there. And I think in Saw 10, which is actually the best Saw movie, which is interesting in its own site as well, not as obviously iconic as 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But I think it finally tackles the idea that what he's doing, what Jigsaw's doing, is kind of interesting but also sadistic. And I think
Yeah.
finally in Saw 10 they finally captured that, because in the other Saws it's like the film's trying to say what he's doing is interesting, but it's like it's not, it's awful.
Yeah.
But I think they finally got it right in Saw 10 of, hang on, there is some interest in this. And they also show his vulnerability of how his intelligence lets him down, which is also surprising.
Yeah. There has always been that moral dilemma with it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, horror is the... when you go watch a drama in cinemas,
Yeah.
there is something in the idea of formula is good. I hate formula. I hate movies where they go A to B. But in horror, formula can be good because like the film X, the movie, yeah. You know that when you go watch this film, it's going to be a group of people what you don't really like.
Yeah.
But you're going to end up liking them when the horror happens. So when you go watch a horror film, you know the formula. And there's something really interesting about being in a couple relationship. You go on a date, you're watching a horror film, and you feel the history of cinema. When you go watch a horror film now, you feel the history of cinema. You're in those rooms where there are a bunch of people who are throwing popcorn at the screen and have their feet up on the seats, and then the horror starts and they're all quiet and they're all jumping, and they all come out and they feel changed. They've gone through something and they're closer to their partner. They're having a good time when they get home. If you know what I'm saying. Like the horror is. You can go watch a good drama and sure it can move you, but I don't think anything can really do the thing what horror can do. It's the same why we love Halloween, because it's playing with our fears of death, and it's playing with our love of death as well. There is something quite nice about death. You almost end up welcoming it in a way, and if you're grounded and central in life, because I'm scared of dying because I don't want to die, but at the same time I also welcome it. Because
if you knew it was coming, you'd be like, "Oh, right, fine."
No, if you knew it was coming, I think you would be ultimately terrified, because you're like, "Oh my god, I have this long to live."
I think it's scary as well because you never actually see. Like, it's always that thing when you see the monster, it's like not that scary anymore. Do you know what I mean? But you can't see it.
I'm surprised you haven't drawn attention to the mulled wine yet.
Well, I was thinking
because I know the sort of content you want to make is we've got some. I do a version of Sophia's podcast.
Right, here we go.
We've got some mulled wine and there's some candles, and let's talk about relationships. Mainly, let's talk about where men are going wrong in relationships. That's the sort of podcast.
That's what women like to talk about. That's right. We've got some gingerbread mulled wine. It's a little bit early for all that. But
it's not really in October.
I don't know. Don't you think you've got to wait till after Halloween?
I think adult Halloween parties have mulled wine.
Right, well, it's cozy anyway.
Sophia also watched the 50th anniversary of Mean Streets.
That's right.
Which is not as good as Exorcist, but it's actually, for me, more interesting than Exorcist, because I think it's... Now, there's been a lot of talk on how we say Scorsese now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's Scorsese. I think that's actually the correct pronunciation.
Let me dig into my Italian lessons.
Well, I'm sure I was listening to Mark the other day and he was saying it's Scorsese.
Scorsese.
But we all say Scorsese. Anyway.
That's more like... Because it's... in the film, they talk like... They say Italian words, but they do like a really thick New York accent on it. So it doesn't sound like... So it's like, hey, Scorsese. Like that. So I think that's like the New York version of it.
Anyway, there's a big talk on what his greatest film is, and I think it's Raging Bull,
which I haven't seen yet.
Which is in my top 10 of all time. There's a big problem with guys putting his films in the top 10. If you most modern guys doing a list of paper, it's Taxi Driver, it's
every guy
Goodfellas.
at school had something like that in the top 10.
Yeah, it is like guys would do that. You need to, when you make a top 10. You need to go for different directors, male and female.
Ooh, and
obviously,
female.
Predominantly, the industry is male, so you can have more male than female. But you should have at least have one in your top 10. You should also change your culture as well. And have different. So my top 10 is a diverse top 10, and that's not to be.
Aaron's virtue signaling there.
That's not to do that. It's because when you don't need all his films in your top 10 because you're stretching a point. So Raging Bull is my favourite of his, and I think Casino is one of the most flawlessly edited films ever. I obsessed with that film, but I'd say Mean Streets is probably my favorite of his just because of how rough it is, and a lot of people criticize the roughness of it because it isn't quite where his new films are. The stories, a lot of people feel never really goes anywhere, and a lot of people don't really understand what the film is.
I feel it's quite realistic.
Yeah, so
like you imagine that's what it was actually like.
The big problem with modern filmmaking now is everything has to be perfect, and you don't really get those films anymore where you're literally put in the environment.
Yeah, it's just like he's letting you into that world for 2 hours. Just see what it's like.
And the story doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Like,
there's also a big obsession now with writers that whatever you write has to have all these twists, and it has to tell you something, it has to teach you something. And this film does do that thing, but most of it is just character building. It's playing in environments, and it has, does it not, one of the greatest shots in cinema history with the Crossfire Hurricane. I've always been obsessed with that scene. Not only is it just a really good character introduction, but just everything about that scene is incredible. And then it also has, the whole film just feels soaked in alcohol. Like you just feel,
right.
You just feel the smoke and the music and the. There's also a line in the film which I only just realised this time where they're talking about only play he's at the jukebox.
Yeah.
He's like, only play the old ones tonight, and they do play the old songs, which is interesting because this song is now old to us.
Yeah.
But there was a time before them, so there is a thing to it where they've also lost. They've lost a generation as well. They're trying to mimic a generation what's also come after them. But I'd say Mean Streets is one of the most fascinating films, and a lot of people misunderstand how, because it's so raw and relentless, and it's got such a, people think it's slow, but it hasn't. It's got such a pace to it. So I think it is one of his. I think it is next to Raging Bull. What are you saying?
Well, I can't really compare it to some of the others what I'm not saying yet, but
well, you can compare. You've seen The Irishman, and I really enjoyed that film. I think it's a really good film, but you got to admit, with it almost being too clean and perfect, it
didn't really.
It doesn't
I don't
really
really feel it as much as this one. Well, I think it's like what you said when we left the cinema. Like everyone's got a character like that in their life.
What's his name again? What's the name of the character again?
Johnny Boy.
Johnny Boy. Also, we should say, you forget Robert De Niro can play those sort of like characters as well, which is also interesting to see. You used to him sort of being the guy to go to, but for once he isn't. But yeah, everybody's got a Johnny Boy in their life.
This is just like an extreme.
If nobody knows what we're talking, if nobody's seen the film and knows what we're talking about, it's just basically a character who is a fuck up, and nobody can rein him in. Yeah. And everybody has that person in their life where.
And you try and help them, but at some point it's like
they drag you down.
It's like you're shouting at the screen, like fucking.
Just abandon him.
Just.
He's firing guns.
Just
off the
look
roof.
after yourself, like seriously, but he won't. Which there's examples in real life where you'd love to just tell somebody as well, just fucking let that person sort it out themselves, but you can't.
So, last podcast we were talking about relationships and how, like, why people are going wrong. I think we've had a lot of interesting conversations on what people expect from relationships. So I think it'd be good if we could talk a little bit, because I think it's important, because I think we both have a balanced view. I think the thing what separates us from other couples and other people is you're happy to accept ideas from men's culture, and I'm happy to accept ideas from women's culture. So I thought, while we've got the time, it might actually be good if we can talk some of those things out.
Ooh.
I'm not really sure where we should start.
Neither am I, love.
Well, I guess I'll ask you, do you have any... What do you think a woman wants from a guy?
Oh. That's a big question.
Or you can break it down in, what do you think certain women want from a guy? What do you
mean,
think?
like,
What do you think the majority of women are looking for in a guy?
I don't know. The thing is, like, I can say what I think, but we know recently that
Say both.
I thought most women, like, underneath all the bullshit, were also quite, reasonable with their expectations, and they didn't want all the bullshit. Obviously, there are the women that just want.
What do you mean by bullshit?
Like, when they're like, oh, he's got around 6 figures or whatever. Like,
They think that's a certain type of girl now.
yeah. So maybe that's just a certain type of girl. So I guess we'll discount those because they're not really looking for a partner, are they? Or like a real person.
No,
they're
just
looking for
a meal ticket.
Yeah. But I think average woman is just looking for, well, somebody that they can just hang out with really and have a good time, like a friend.
Yeah.
What, have you spilled your wine?
No, choked. Wrong.
Oh dear.
It's not anything you said.
As he reaches for the whiskey. Oh, are you hoping to pick that noise up on the microphone there?
Yeah, it sounds authentic.
That's right. Yeah, I think just a friend, really an actual partner. I think it's still a problem where a lot of guys, like, even if they think they're quite equality based in their opinions,
They're not.
actually still expect the woman to do most of the
Can I talk about
dumb labour.
Can I talk about some of these without you forgetting your players?
Okay, fine.
For that one, just say it again so I can just
that most guys think they stand for equality, but they actually don't.
Yeah, I think that also comes into they don't realise that there's a difference between male and female. So there's many things. So there's many things where I would want to aid you, a woman, but then my own masculinity comes up and I realise, oh, I actually can't do that.
Like what?
Sexual.
Like
there's no really way around me to be. There's this so obviously you should be respectful when you start dating.
Yeah.
And you should be, but this idea that you have to muzzle the guy and the guy's not going to want sex, it's just not going to. And I know that's also comes from the women's side as well. There's also a myth that it's just men who want sex. There's also women as well.
Yeah.
But the idea that there are things that rise up where, or maybe sex is a bad example. I'll go for an example of how we deal with fights.
Right.
So I just would, as a guy, I just want to decompress and leave the room because if I stay in the room, it's going to spill over into aggression. Because most guys can only, not that sort of aggression, most guys can only solve issues because the reason guys know that when they're together, we're not going to start a fight because the only way, this is going to escalate into an actual fist fight. When you're with a woman and she pushes you to that stage,
but you can't do anything.
If you can't do anything, it becomes very difficult. And I think a lot of guys will try to map that because they think it's the right thing to do, but I don't think it's physically, not physically, I don't think it's mentally possible.
Oh, you mean like stay in the argument and get that mad where you feel like you physically want to punch something or someone, but then be under control?
Yeah.
I think a lot of women want that as well from a guy.
What,
they want to be able to push him to the absolute limit, but know that he's never going to do anything aggressive.
Which is very,
punch a wall or anything like that.
Which is quite messed up. It makes sense in terms of you need this person to, if you're going to have a relationship with them, you pick this person, so you need to know that they can defend themselves, maybe. Because you think about it, you're not going to recreate with a guy who can't defend himself. I don't even mean defend himself physically, I also mean mentally as well.
Yeah, well, that's something as well, isn't it? Because women want a lot of... here we go. Like, they want the man to just, like, give her everything she wants and, like, never express any opinion otherwise, or... Do you know what I mean? Then, would you really be attracted to him then if he's not?
When I was with... So, women do things extreme. When I'm not talking about the way they think, I'm talking about the way they approach life.
Mm.
Usually, women approach things extremely logical. So when a woman wakes up, they plan their breakfast accordingly. They plan the day accordingly. So when we went away on vacation just recently, it was just me with 3 women. It starts off quite good because your day's planned for you, and you have women cooking everything for you. But you soon realize that as a guy, you can't step into the kitchen because the women are in control.
Yeah.
So what happens is, as a guy, I slowly start to crave whiskey and cigars.
Oh dear.
I slowly I remember I did. I went outside. I basically got drunk and just went outside and smoked a cigar because of how much control I didn't have.
Like it was a bit claustrophobic.
And how claustrophobic it was becoming. Like, just you by yourself, who's like, I can deal with that. But when there's a multitude of women, it's very hard to deal with. So I think a lot of women don't understand that guys need to decompress. And if a guy's at the pub all day, it's bad, but the guy does need his male friends, and the guy also does need to be a guy. And there's a big red flag at the moment what women put up with. If this guy is smoking a cigar, it's a red flag. If this guy is
everything's a red flag.
If this guy is doing this, it's a red flag. But you've just got to the same way men have got to let women just be women. In some respects, you just got to let a guy.
I feel like it's almost going the other way now, where anything feminine used to be like looked down on or whatever, it was less than. Now it's like anything hyper masculine is like taboo, almost like, oh god, you can't be seen doing that, or like you can't be having your boyfriend doing that, or do you know what I mean?
Well, the idea of smoking a cigar is obviously it's a little bit obnoxious, but it's I guess it comes from the like a warrior, because obviously men are predominantly the ones who go fighting wars, and so women express their emotions through conversation mostly.
Yeah.
Guys usually have to be quite silent, and women sometimes get confused with that. They think that the guy has to express their emotions, but they kind of are with the way they're smoking a cigar, because they're going off and they're being silent and they're having a moment to themselves and they're reflecting. They're
like processing in their own way.
Yeah, and it's because I took the cigar outside. We were in the hills of Gran Canaria, and I walked on the dirt path. It was dark. I could hear the what do you call it? The cicada.
Yeah.
And it was a warm night. I just lit the cigar up and I was just looking at the cars go by. I was just reflecting on life, basically.
Yeah.
And I was able to get everything back I needed.
That's good.
That completely balanced me.
Just from a little old cigar.
Yeah. And I know stoicism is...
But then if there was like multiple of you doing that, do you know what I mean? If there was like 3 guys and you went off and did that, it would be... oh my god, like, I can't believe they're gone off doing that. Or we'd want to come with you.
Yeah, but if it was 3 of us, it'd be very nice, because we'd all share the same silence. Because the thing what I love about men...
There we go. You were asking me about women a minute ago, now we're talking about what you love about men.
The thing what is that guys can be together and they can just understand it without saying anything. You can have that relationship with women as well, but when you're with a guy, you know the rules. So guys can talk about things without actually really talking about them. And when guys are together, they usually don't want to talk about things because it's an opportunity not. So with you, I can talk about everything I need to talk about. When I'm with a guy friend, I don't have to talk about that, because I've spoken about it to you. It's nice for us just to sit, enjoy each other's company, and relate. The same way women do the same. Women need their own...
Although, but when you do go, like if you go shopping with a female friend, like... best believe you're bitching about every single person, relationship, or situation in your life. You talk about all of it.
Guys do a little bit of the same. Yeah. But the other voice going, yeah. Guys do a little bit of the same.
Yeah. But it's partly just because women like to know the juicy deets.
Women like to have the feeling that they're doing better than their friend. And when you if you're the friend who's doing well, You don't care about your friends really.
Oh.
You want to. People are only friends. This is also male and female. People are only friends with each other. My back's stuck to this chair. People are only friends with each other because usually because they're doing better than people have friends where they're doing slightly better than the person they're intimate with. That's not the wrong word.
I don't know. So sometimes you can have a friend the other way around, and they can inspire you to do better.
Which are my favorite type of friends. I've reconnected with my old school friend, and he's a really good runner, and he's literally changed my life without him even knowing. Because I spent 3 years doing no exercise whatsoever. And I just started walking one day. I'm like, this is the only exercise I can bother to do because, and I actually lost all my weight just by walking. I walked 7 to 10k.
Walking is like one of the best exercises you can do.
Yeah, I walked 7 to 10k a day. I lost all the weight. I practically had a 6-pack from how much walking I was doing. And then I come from a sport background. I come from nearly making it as an athlete. So it's always hurt me that I haven't ever done anything with that. And then I see my friend who I always admire doing really well with his running. And we eventually got talking, and it inspired me to start running. And he's now there to help and aid and
wonderful
pass comment. And it because I know he's doing it, it's given me the spark to want to get back into it.
Like a little bit of competition.
Healthy competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to what
a woman wants from a man?
Yeah. We should have kept notes, and I can go through them all and deconstruct them all for
you. So a friend, like a best friend for life.
All right, I can go off that.
Okay, off you go.
It's really interesting because I think friendship between a man and a woman is always going to be able to is love. So if you have a female friend who's just a friend, I think it is teaching into love. Because
are you talking about for men or women?
Both.
All right, yeah. Because
I think
so if I have a female friend,
I think friendship is extremely close to love. And
it's
when
one of the 5 types of love, according to what you learn at RE.
And when you tip into a relationship, so I think any sort of friendship can tip into into sex. That's why I believe it is technically, on a technicality, impossible to have friends with the sex you're attracted to, because there is always that part of you where we are friends, so then therefore we can share a sexual connection. So if there's anybody now what is friend zoned or anything like that, and I'm now talking directly to men, if there's any men out there who have been friend zoned by women and they think they've read the signals wrong, they haven't. The signals are always there, and you read them right, because if you are friends with a woman and there is a little thought in all our brains, vice versa, where because I'm such good friends with this person, if I was to turn this sexual, would this just be not the greatest relationship? And usually the reason why women and men don't go for the people what they're friends with it is literally down to the fact it's just not going to work in the sense of relationship. So there's still going to be that sexual feeling there. The female friends I have in my life, I realised that we wouldn't be compatible dating.
That's why I've never taken it to the next stage.
Yeah. Okay, continue on your tirade of...
Tirade? I won't call it that. What else do they want? Well, they want to feel sexy and desirable, so they want sexual attention from you and or compliments and...
I'm going to translate this to...
They want you to look at them a certain way.
I'm going to translate this to guys just in case. I'm not pretending to be the authority of guys here, but I want to translate... Because what you're saying... is good, but I want to translate what this means to guys that might not understand what you're saying. Women want to be dominated, but they also want to be loved. So when it comes to sex, women want a little bit of domination. Yeah. But then they also want the feeling of being loved. So you have to provide both. You have to be generous and relaxed and loving sometimes. Yeah. Other times you have to be dominant.
That's right.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. That's why it's like a common fantasy for women to be like, you know, picked up or like
thrown around
or held against a wall or whatever, stuff like that.
Pinned against the wall.
That's right. What else?
But then sometimes women just want candles and like peace and quiet.
Oh god, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So you need to do both. A lot of guys, more in the simp culture, just they approach the woman with the candles and they forget the rough part, or they're too rough and they forget the quiet part. So you need a good display of both.
It's like you need to be actually a nice person, but you need to have a little edge where you're like, there's a little bit sort of dangerous, a little bit of like you can't control him. If a man's completely under your control, it's not attractive anymore.
But women want the guy under control.
But do they though? Are they just
compensating?
Are they just doing what they do? Which I think a lot of women do naturally, just try to control the household and the situation around them. But they actually want the man to rebel against it.
Yeah, I see you right on that.
Well, there you go.
So, I translate to men again.
Here we go.
What you want in a woman is the benefit of dating a woman is the fact that you automatically get a homemade, and that's not in a sexist way. Because you're laughing,
right.
But it's because women are like the flowers in a derelict house.
Perfect.
They provide a really nice home for you. There's their love in nature and they're nurturing.
Wonderful.
So what you're getting when you date a woman, you're getting that. You're getting somebody when you're down, they will see the good side of the situation, and they will, you know, if the difference between men and women are when a woman's wrapping their present, a guy is it's just basically just a mess. It's cellophane and
awful.
But women put little bows in and stuff. That's why you want to date a woman. But at the same time, just because you have this home with the woman, it also doesn't mean that you have to become completely. What's the opposite of dominant? Like submissive. You can also go live your life. Women love that as well. Women are interested in what you do. So if you,
they want you to go out and have your own.
Sure, a lot of women
come back.
A lot of women will moan at you for going and smoking a cigar or being into whiskey or being into cars or whatever.
That's just part of the game, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you smoke a cigar, I moan at you like, oh, it smells bad, whatever.
You don't.
No, I actually don't. But this is like the game. They want to moan at you to be like, oh, it smells gross or whatever. But like actually, they want you to actually do that. Like they don't actually want you to stop. They're just like teasing you, I guess.
We're approaching our end, but I want to go a little bit over just so I can cover these things, because I feel like now we've got into something.
We're
like
some meat.
we got into the meat of some issues, and I feel like it's going well because you're saying it and I can translate it for people, which is what I want to do anyway.
Is that right?
What else you got?
What else have I got? I don't know. I think they do want someone practical that can rely on as well, whether it's like just like a financial partner, or you know, anything that they can't do he can do, or like if there's a physical threat against them, or
let me translate
if they need somebody to stand up for them, there's somebody there.
Let me translate again for guys. So a lot of guys worry about the financial part. A woman doesn't really care too much if you are broke. Some women will.
I think.
Hold on.
Yeah.
A woman doesn't really care too much. But what a woman does care about is if you don't show character to get out of it. So if you are in a bad situation, a lot of men commit suicide because they feel like they can't talk to anyone, they feel like it's embarrassing to go home, they feel great shame. But I feel that's just the pressure of being a guy. But I feel what women really care about and love is just if you can show character. Yes, you lost your job. Yes, you lost money. Yes, this has put the family in a dire situation. But can you show resourcefulness and grit? I'd say that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, I'd say so. Because I think a lot of guys out there, feel the pressure to earn like a certain figure, or they think they always have to earn more than a woman, which obviously back in the day would have been the case because the woman would more likely to be just having a part-time job or staying at home or whatever, or not be as qualified, which doesn't apply now. It's not like you have to provide for the whole family, so it doesn't take away your masculinity if a woman's earning more than you, but you just have to, I don't know, just have to care about her financial security, I guess, and physical security, and yeah, or like
Will you say that you would feel? I think both careers matter as well. I think in a relationship, I think you have to. Both your careers have to matter. I think there'd be times where one career would be up and one career would be down.
Well, yeah, if you've got kids, I think one person's got to take the primary. I don't really think it would work.
That's not what I'm saying.
If you both go like
that's not what I'm saying.
half in, do you know what I mean? But I think one person's got to. Oh, he's stuck again.
He passed me a towel like down there.
Oh dear.
Right back of the chair. Gracias.
One person's career will probably take precedence during that time.
That's not what I'm saying though. I'm not talking about the logistical side. I'm talking about, say if the husband has a dream of, I don't know, wanting to get his pilot's license.
Perfect.
Just because he's in a relationship and has a family, he should also have the right to do that. Same as if the woman, say if her, whatever her fantasy is she wants in life. So I think it's highly important that both male and female are able to live the dream they want to live, even if they have a family. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about financial sense. Obviously, say if the woman's earning more than the guy, and I think it makes more sense that the woman is the one who's in financial control. But I'm just talking about dreams now, and just
you both have to be willing to support each other. Either way, but yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that a woman wants from a guy?
I can go into what men would want from a female. I think the biggest thing what men want from a woman is that the woman is just chill. And that means that there's a thing where I was speaking about this the other day, that the reason why, that's a bad example actually. Yeah, I'd say that's it. There's nothing really more need to add to that. Guys just want a woman that is just
like, even though they might tease you about some things, you don't want her to like ride you too hard about.
No, guys want their life to be easy. They want to be able to do what it is they've got to do.
Yeah.
You know, they want to be able to play a video game without getting a passive look. They want to be able to go in the garage and look at their stamp collection without getting a passive look. Yeah. They just want and that doesn't mean that the wife or girlfriend can't mock them. Because that's all. Because at the same time, you kind of want your partner to mock you because it keeps you straight and narrow. But at the same time, I think that's what guys want predominantly. They want a girl who's just going to be. They're not going to be too complicated. They're not going to.
Obviously, it's like within reason, because there's nothing worse than if your boyfriend's taking a piss and playing games all day every day. You feel like you might want to nag them to actually take care of their responsibilities, but having to nag a guy about something is such a turn off. It's unbelievable. Like, it's just not good. So the guy also has to make sure, like, obviously have your hobbies or whatever, but like also like do what you need to do and be a responsible adult as well when it's required. Because then the woman just ends up feeling like she's more like a mother figure, which is not the one.
Yeah, I think if you do push a girl into,
but then some women won't let the man play video game for even a couple of hours, just to de-stress or whatever.
Well, I say that's what men don't like, a partner who doesn't. You see, the thing what I like about you, because you are my favorite person on the planet.
Oh, you are very kind.
The thing what I like about you most is you're willing to try anything. You see, you have a chill where, I could literally now say to you, next week I want to go whiskey tasting.
Perfect.
And you're not going to say anything about that. You'll probably be interested in it. And it's the same way. It was like,
even though I don't like whiskey, I'll probably still go with you.
How can you not like whiskey? So when Starfield came out, I basically said to you, I'm going to be playing this game for a month. That's what I said. I said I'm playing. Right. Starfield's coming out. We literally went to the shop to get an Xbox,
Perfect.
and I said to you, I'm playing this game for a month, and you didn't even ask.
Yeah, but I don't worry about that because I know that you're also very driven, and it's not like, you know, what am I trying to say? You're not just doing that and then like not doing anything else.
Well,
Do you know what I mean? You've got it under control.
Yeah, I got it under control, but so yeah, that's what men want in a woman. And then I would say, I'll have one other thing, then we can start wrapping up. I would say,
I feel like there could be a lot to be said on this topic.
Yeah, we probably should write
part
notes
2.
because obviously there's so much to say, but when you've got to speak into the microphone to fill the dead space, you sort of forget.
That's right.
What's important. I would say, because there's so many things, isn't there? I'm just trying to pick something. What do men want?
Obviously, we don't speak for.
Because there's also the difference between what
everyone.
the men want in a wife and what the men want in a girlfriend.
Oh, here we go.
There's also that. But
What's the difference between wife and girlfriend?
I'm just talking about relationship now. I would
You're
say
general.
men can't get, with their friends as I spoke earlier, a level of compassion and understanding what's needed. So I'd say with you, I can say anything I want to say. With my guy friends, I can't. And that's not a bad thing.
Okay.
It's not a bad thing. So I'd say what men want, they want the woman to be there for them. And they want to be able to come in after a shift or whatever it is they're doing with their life. And they want to be able to say, this was terrible. And they don't want to be judged by it. They want the woman to go, yeah, I see why this is terrible. They just want somebody in their life.
Yeah.
To just.
I think that's what's so good about relationship compared to friendships. I don't know. Maybe some people have friendships that deep, but I just feel like you can be understood and vulnerable and sort of, just allow yourself to be known in such a deeper way compared to any other relationship in your life.
Agreed. So I say we'll end this podcast there.
That's right.
You can obviously catch these podcasts on Spotify.
Oh, here we go.
What do you mean, here we go?
It's so awkward when you say stuff like that.
Why?
It's just not your nature to be like selling yourself, is it?
So you can catch these. Well, how would you do it?
Well, I would also be awkward, to be fair.
So you can catch these podcasts on Spotify, and you go to the.
Don't forget to smash that like.
You go to.
Wait, are these going on YouTube as well?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Smash like.
You go to podcasts with my girlfriend.
Subscribe.
And you can check out all the old podcasts we've done.
Ring the bell.
Talking over me.
It was meant to be amusing.
Well, it wasn't.
Mm.
That's it. That's all.
That's it, really. To be honest.
But if you can, it is important to share this and actually like, because as I always say, this is an independent podcast.
That's right.
And there's a lot of podcasts out there. So if you do like it, and I think what our podcast does, what's a little bit different to everybody else's, is I feel we have created now that intensity where there is a point to it, as opposed to, man, I've got something to say. I'm gonna set a podcast up and just talk to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's everybody now is like, oh, I feel important. I'm a main character. I'm gonna. Well, I feel like I am really a craftsman who has always been into podcasts, and I feel like I could have longevity in this, and I feel like I've got things to say, and I feel like I think about things, and I feel like I see the world a little bit different. And I feel this is an interesting dynamic we have. This is,
that's right. In
terms of dynamics, this isn't just going to be some.
Not some basic bitch couple over
basic bitch couple on the internet. So I think if you do like this, it's important to share, because obviously the more eyes you get onto it, the more we can keep doing this.
Leave a comment, but only if it's nice.
We're going to do this regardless, really. But I also hope that, in 100 years, this thing still holds up.
100 years.
100 years. All right.
Okay, bye.
Adios.